Hi, I'm Robert Kim, and you're watching Mission Nonprofit. Each month, we connect with local organizations and agencies that are making a positive impact in our communities. We've invited Lynn Crowley from Asian Pacific Islander Coalition of South Puget Sound to talk about their work. Thanks for joining us, Lynn.
Thank you so much for inviting me there.
Tell us about what your organization does, when it started, and the story behind it.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Now, Asian Pacific Islanders Coalition is basically a coalition. We have 7 chapters throughout the state, and that includes South Puget Sound, which is located right here in the capital area of Olympia. But we also, of course, have chapters up in King and Seattle area, one in Pierce, one in Snohomish, one in Yakima, one in Eastern Seattle or Eastern King, which is Bellevue area. And then we also have one in Spokane area. And the coalition really is here because, in the late 19th century, there were a lot of laws that were passed that basically took away the rights of immigrants, and which really seriously affected the API's immigrants. So we decided that we really need to collectively join together to bind all the network of community organizations together to dedicate ourselves to racial and economic justice for all of us. And in solidarity, we also work with other BIPOC communities to advance our rights and services.
And so there is a statewide Asian Pacific Islander Coalition, and all of those chapters are underneath that. Is there anything nationally, or is it just in Washington State?
Right now, we are mainly in Washington State, this coalition anyway. But we do work with our national partners, such as the Advancing Justice for Asian Americans, AAJA, and several other civil rights coalitions around the country. So we do kind of stay connected with national things too.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So what's the organization's mission?
The mission is actually very simple. We recognize the need for a collective voice, right? As I already mentioned. So what we really wanted to be able to say is that it's a statewide network of community organizations dedicated to racial and economic justice for all.
Awesome. Well, what about some of the programs and resources that APIC SPS have available for our community?
Mm-hmm. Well, we have had a lot of different activities that we have already done throughout the years. We started in this areas in 2003 for the South Puget Sound chapter. And we have grown actually quite a bit because there are more and more APIs in this community, and a lot of them actually form their own organizations. So because we are a coalition, so we usually actually support each other and help actually making sure that all of those organizations to be successfully, built up and established to serve their own communities, folks. And so far, we have had a lot of different programs that we are doing in these 2 years. Due to the pandemics, of course, we are working with the pandemics related services such as, vaccinations, assistance, and actually help gather different resources into our community by offering emergency relief aids. We also have, organized several mask drives, hand sanitizers, you name it. If the community feel like that they by themselves cannot do some of the things, we try to help make those things happen. So we are really happy to say that because of that, APIC, South Puget Sound, is now pretty much of an organization that a lot of people will contact when they need different kind of support services. We are currently working with the Department of Health to actually get the education materials out there with different languages too, to our different community organizations. So those are the few things that I can share with you right now. But we do a lot more than those. Last year, we actually did some citizenship assistance, but also the census outreach. So 2020 census, because of our involvement, I think has actually advanced our Thurston County area's self-response rate quite a bit. So we are really happy with that end result. I think we are the second or the third highest self-response rate in the state. So that was really good.
Success. That was a hard year with all the misinformation about the census and all the fear about filling out the census if you are undocumented, right? But I guess you did a good job in getting the Asian community to go ahead.
Thanks to everybody's help, of course. Yeah. We have a lot of really wonderful trusted messengers joining us to help reach out to all the different ethnic groups and all of that. So it was a great collaboration. Thanks to all.
Yeah, well, you talked a little bit about how things were different in 2020 because of the pandemic. So tell me a little bit more about how the pandemic affected the organization. I know you talked about a mask drive. You gave out masks.
Yes, we did.
And you probably had to. I was just going to say you probably had to cancel some events or other things that you might have done in person and had to adapt. Tell me a little bit more about how that was for your organization last year.
Sure. Well, like everybody else, we are really seriously impacted by the pandemics because we have to stop all the in-person communications and activities. But also because of the pandemics, I think that we try to learn to be more creative. I actually do know a little bit about media myself. So we try to, of course, utilizing our social media, our website, as well as all the Zoom communication. We have a lot of our events actually moved to virtual conferences. So several events that we have actually created, including the census training programs. We have, more than 16 trusted messengers that were trained, and then, reach out to the different community organizations. We did different kind of group meetings with them, utilizing Zoom. And then we also have conducted a race and civic engagement conference, as well as the upcoming new event that we are going to be working on, which is the Leadership Development Conference. We really wanted to make sure that this is a group collaboration. So we are working with a lot of other BIPOC organizations in this area. So I have to say, because of the pandemic in some way, we actually was able to do more outreach to the other organizations because everybody realized that, we kind of have to talk to each other and work with each other more in order for us to kind of get to know each other more. Civic engagement is one of our main goals for our works. So through collaborating with all of these different organizations, we realize that we can actually achieve more by, connecting with each other, getting photos turned out, and then getting census turned out. So it actually worked out wonderfully for us. So I'm really, really happy to say that we actually gained a lot of momentum through these 2 years. So who knows, we are working on actually creating a new center right now in this area. And if all goes well, we are hoping we will be able to kind of see that happen next year.
Oh, great. Do you have a center right now and you're working on a new one?
We have our coalition right now. So the center is an idea that we have been talking about for this 2 years. So we are working on that currently. The 501c3, bylaws and all of the requirements need to be met in order for the center to be created. So we are working currently with a lot of different representatives from the different organizations. Once everybody can come to a consensus about what kind of services we will be offering through the new center, then we will try to do even more than what we are currently doing. So it's something really I'm looking forward to. And we definitely will keep in touch with Thurston County, Thurston Community Media to make sure that that information is going to go out there for everybody to participate and also to enjoy.
I think that's super exciting. I think that'll be neat. That's great.
Thank you.
Do you know where it will be? It's going to be in Thurston County?
We are hoping it will be in Thurston County. We are looking at a couple of possible locations right now. But, as a new startup, new organization, as you know, we have to do some fundraising. We have already gathered some foundations funding for some basic operation needs. So we do have those already, but we do needed to do a little bit more fundraising, as you know, if we wanted to have a nicer, bigger building, facility, so on and so forth. So stay tuned. Awesome. And if anyone who is watching this is interested in joining us to help us with this particular effort, we were so much welcoming everyone's involvement.
Let's go over how people can follow you and get involved. You mentioned your website, and that is APICSouthPugetSound.org.
That's correct.
Instagram, which is at APIC_SPS. Twitter at SPSAPIC. So that's ways that people can follow you or just check out your website. Yes. and stuff. And you do legislative advocacy, and we're in the Capitol, so no better place to do that kind of thing. Or you're kind of like a lobbyist in a way, making sure good legislation gets passed. Can you tell me any successes recently or in the past that you've had or that the statewide APIC has done?
Okay, yeah. I actually originally prepared a PowerPoint for this talk, but I think what I can say is that the PowerPoint, let me see, page 13 and 14 and 15, you will be able to find a lot of information about a statewide API summit, as well as the legislative day that we normally do. Although last year we don't call it a legislative day, we actually did a legislative week. We did a whole week long worth of legislative activities due to the fact that we have to do everything by Zoom, right? Instead of doing it in one day, we visit all the different legislators and the governor. So we actually still had a summit this year and also the legislative week activities. And we advocated a lot of different legislative agenda, but primarily, we obviously still wanted to make sure that a lot of new immigrants, as well as the API immigrants, generally still need some popular language support because, about half of our API's populations in the state speak, more than one language in their homes. So that language assistance support is definitely needed. So we usually will try to include that as one of our API legislative agenda to keep the funding there. But in addition, we also try to conduct a lot of other things which will help our community because, as you know, due to the pandemic, there are a lot of people who just, don't have the same kind of working hours or even don't have a job anymore. They have to look for new jobs. So there are a lot of assistance financially for rental assistance, job assistance, unemployment, so on and so forth are all needed. So what we also try to do is support some of those bills to offer immigrant relief. So those have been passed by the legislator. Thank you so
Excellent.
much for supporting all of those. So we are going to continue offering those kind of support to the community, especially for those people who are not included by the federal relief fund, because as you know, those only cover the citizens.
Right.
So some of those people who are in our community, who may be permanent residents, but don't have the citizenships yet, or people who have a work visa or who are DACA, things like that, those folks still need help because they still have to live too, just like us. So, so this particular relief fund that the state has passed is going to allow us to help some of those people, at least some help. They are not going to get the same kind of funding actually as those of us who are citizens, but they will be able to get $1,000 per person, for example, right? So, so that is something we are hoping that people can see. They can actually get some tangible assistance that they need. So this is something that we are also working on this year. So a lot of things that we are working on this year. This is one of those examples.
Do you do this annually? You mentioned that you went for a week.
Yeah.
So every year
Right.
you go to the Capitol.
Every year. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we do this every year. Usually happen in the beginning or the middle of February, because that's the time when the legislative session happened, right? They started those, and then we kind of, make arrangement with the governor and also with all of the legislature and see what day will work for most of them, because obviously not everyone will have the same time that they can be available. So we will try to find the time that work for most of them. And then for the other folks, we may have to schedule a special meeting time for those residents, from different part of the state to come together to go ahead and do the legislative lobbying activities. So we used to have people coming from Spokane, Yakima, Seattle, all over the places,
all of the different chapters,
Olympia sometimes.
Right?
Yeah, different chapter. They will also organize people. So sometimes you can see 2,000-3,000 APIs gathered in Olympia on that one day. So that's a very interesting and exciting sight, actually. Usually we will try to bring even some entertainment because, a lot of people like to, when you have a big gathering like this, they want to have some, of that excitement being shown. So what we normally will do is that we will even put some different kind of programs throughout the day, so people can get to enjoy, different kind of performances even.
Nice.
So we have to make sure that once this pandemic is over, we are going to resume some of those activities, because I think Olympia really can use some of that right now. We are too quiet right now.
Yeah, celebrate.
Need to do something a little bit. Yeah, celebrate it.
Is this event, is it something that other people can come and attend to, or is it really
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
it is an open event. We actually, I don't know if you had a chance to go over there during the event or not. They usually will set up, if the weather is nice, big tents, throughout the whole Capitol campus there.
And
Usually it's
performances
right
out
in
there?
front or right next to, the Capitol building. And then, and they will invite different legislators to speak. Sometimes the governor can speak outside, but sometimes the governor will speak in his office, and some of us will go in there to meet with him in the governor's, meeting room. But for most of the legislator, if the weather is nice, they like to come out and say hi to everybody and just kind of get a chance to really get direct connections with their constituents. So I think it's a very good way for people to do civic engagement, especially for those folks who normally don't ever come to Olympia. You know, we happen to live right here in Olympia, so we can go there anytime. But for those other folks who come from, let's say, Eastern Washington, they just normally don't come at all, except for this one day. They will get on the bus and they will try to travel over, and they will be able to do this. So all of them feel like very excited because they truly feel like this is a way for them to be involved. They feel like their voice is heard. So that's very important for everybody.
Yeah, it sounds like you make civic engagement fun, and it needs to be, right? So people will do it. So, but
yes.
Some of the other things you do Citizenship Assistance. And is it hard to become a citizen? Can you tell me a little bit about what you do to help people out?
Yeah, well, that part we are just starting because, you know, citizenship, as you know it, it's not actually that easy. Some of the people will be on the waiting list for 10 years or more. Yeah, I myself, just as an example, I am a professional. I come here initially as international students, and later I got married. So, you know, I was able to stay here and start working. And all of that, you would think should allow me to be able to get my citizenship pretty easily. But believe it or not, I had a so-called permanent residency card, or some people call it green card, for 10 years before I get my citizenship. So you can already see that this is not a very easy thing for people to do. So sometimes sharing stories like this with people is one of my greatest enjoyment too, because I want people to understand it's not because some people don't want to be a citizen. It's because they put you on the waiting list. They will have you wait, especially if they feel that, you know, you are working, so you are not in a hurry. So they just kind of keep you waiting until they put you up onto the list, and they would contact you and say, it's your time. So for a lot of people, sometimes that is one of those things that people need to realize. So to help with those folks who are in this kind of situation, they sometimes may need some legal assistance, right, to make sure that they have the legal documentation to allow them to work. Now, for a lot of people, that may not necessarily be the easiest things. And then, of course, the immigration laws, as you may know, change all the time due to the different federal administrations change sometimes. So policies do change. You know about probably the DACA situation, when, you know, 1 year they are okay to stay, but then the next year when the former administration decided that they are not okay to stay anymore. So they are cutting them off. They want them to be done getting their citizenship right then and there. And if you don't get it by that particular deadline, then you have to be sent home. So a lot of people ask, you know, where is home? Because a lot of those people actually have lived here for so long. And, you know, some of them actually was born here. But because of their parents' situation, they become undocumented. And they didn't even realize, because they figure, well, if they are working and all of that, they may not necessarily need to worry about it. But the thing is, when changes happen like this, people become very frustrated, because how will we be able to kind of help people who already have been our neighbors and, you know, are part of our community's contributing member for so long, yet all of this can impact them very personally. So we wanted to be sure that we offer some of those legal assistance to folks who are eligible for citizenship.
Another thing you've been doing, yeah, I noticed you have a YouTube as well, and I saw a few videos, and they're really good. Earlier you were saying, I have a video background, and I can tell. And plus your history here at TCMedia. But yeah, those videos look really good. But you've been doing some cultural workshops. Just to briefly tell me a little bit about how that came about, and we don't have a lot of time left, but I did want to get to this. So tell me a little bit about your cultural workshops that you have on YouTube.
Oh, thank you so much for asking. The cultural workshop, we decided to start doing a little bit of those on Zoom because, people really like to be able to do some learning from each other, right? But then we realized that we currently just cannot do some of those things. So we decided to put some of those activities online, and we conduct those monthly, and it's currently offered on the second Saturday of every month. People will be able to learn different kind of cooking. Recently, because of the anti-Asian issues, we also wanted to kind of offer some educational workshops. So we decided to offer a self-defense workshop. And so things like that will continue to be rolled out in the coming months. And we are open for people to offer us any ideas and suggestions about what other kind of things they may be enjoying. So we can offer those. So please
Fantastic.
do. Feel free to come and learn all kinds of dishes too, because what we are trying to do is every month we feature, one different kind of ethnic cooking. So far we have Chooks, island cooking, we have Korean dishes, we have the Chinese cooking, and we wanted to do more. We are also thinking about even doing some floral arrangement for those people who like to do the floral arrangement. They can even do that, the Japanese style, flower arrangement. So anyway, so a lot of really fun things that we hope to be able to kind of offer to people. And we are not charging anybody anything. We do pay all of our presenters a small stipend. But, for our offering, we just wanted to let the community enjoy those. So we figure that's a worthy investment. So we are doing it. As long as people are watching, we will continue offering those.
Well, in our last 30 seconds, is there anything else you'd like to add that we didn't talk about?
Thank you. I really wanted to just thank you again for giving me the opportunity to share with everybody about APIC South Puget Sound. We are really here not just for API. I wanted to say, even though our initial starting point is with the API communities, but our current new centers project is really a multicultural perspective that we are trying to instill into the mission and bylaws. So we are going to have all different kind of folks that will be coming together to offer a lot of different services that I just mentioned here, plus more, because we are hoping once we will be able to have personal connections, we will be able to offer even more things. So please stay tuned, and thank you again for TCMedia's coverage. I truly, truly appreciate that, especially since I used to be connected with TCMedia. It feels like coming home. So thank you so much.
Well, that's all we have for you. Please visit their website at apicsouthpugetsound.org. You can also find them on Facebook at APIC South Puget Sound Chapter. Watch Mission Nonprofit on Channel 77, Sundays at 4:30 p.m., Tuesdays at 6 p.m., Thursdays at 7:30 p.m., Fridays at noon, and Saturdays at 2:30 a.m., 10 a.m., and 6:30 p.m. You can also catch it online at tcmedia.org. See you next time.